Someone asked, what made you decide to get into tuning and start your own tuning company? Well, for me, how about you? How did you?
I mean, it's a lot of nobody else was doing the things I needed to do. Especially back in the early 2000s. And Javad and myself all had kind of similar goals we were looking at for the 5-cylinder cars at the time. How to make a bunch of power and provide product that were, hard for a DIYer to do, but if you could do it in a way that you could, manufacture it with some, CNC equipment or some programming tools, services and products that we could provide that we used every day. It's kind of how it got kicked off, and then it's been growing and growing from there. But it was the solutions that nobody else had that we felt needed to be out there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think for me, I watched. Well, I started to get into Audis. One of my friends was in Audis, and he convinced me to buy a Audi 4000 Quattro, and I just thought it sounded like a good idea because it had 4-wheel drive, so I could take it to Tahoe in the winter, and that sounded cool. And then I started driving the car and realized it wasn't like a truck at all. It was actually like a performance car. I mean, I was like 17. I didn't really barely know how to drive, but so I lowered it and put some wheels and tires on it, and I started falling in love with like what I could do. And I would go to the junkyard and I would see Audi 5000 turbos, and I thought the intake manifold was a turbo. So I really wanted to figure out how to put the intake manifold on my Audi 4000. And then I read Corky Bell's Maximum Boost and realized that wasn't a turbo at all. It was actually buried underneath there. And then I started looking into doing turbo swaps, and then I met Tu Bennett in like 1996 or 97. And they had started a business doing these turbo swaps. And so I just became... and then I watched the ESPN documentary, Unfair Advantage, which documented Audi Quattro in racing in the 70s and the early 80s, and through the early 90s. So I just became completely obsessed with tuning Audis, and I wanted to connect to that Audi Sport heritage. I wanted to try to build a car that had anything to do with an IMSA GTO. So I went and bought an Audi 80 Quattro because that's what an IMSA GTO was made from. And I started researching turbo swaps, and that's kind of how it all started. And that's how I got into tuning. But, I decided to start my own company because there's just a lot of boring jobs out there. And I wasn't really interested in being bored for the rest of my life. And I thought, if I can make a living tuning Audis, like, even my goal was pretty low. Like, if I could just like make enough to get by, the fun of my job would more than make up for the money I wasn't making. And I had friends that went into insurance. I had friends that went to med school. Another friend that went to work for a power plant. People worked in retail. It just all sounded really boring to me. So I immediately I got a business degree, and I immediately went and started working at a tuning company, making $10 an hour. And I learned a ton. And then I went to another tuning company, and I think I made $30,000 a year there, which was more money. That was more money like 25 years ago than it is now, 20 years ago. But and then I another thing is I was recently married, and my wife did not like the fact that I always wanted to work on cars. So strategically, I was like, you know what? If I could start a business and just do it all day, then I could come home, and then I wouldn't have to work on cars, and I could kind of get my fill, and then it actually worked really well, and then it became our living. So then she liked the fact that I did it when I did do it. So if I was like, I got to go to the track this weekend, we have an event, blah blah blah.
It's a lot easier to sell the track.
She was much more supportive.
Like, I got to work. I got to go to work. I got to work this weekend. Like, I'm sorry, I got to stand out in the parking lot all day. You make it sound really miserable, and you want
to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So, but then I started in the industry in like '96, and Nate has been in it almost as long, working here, and we've remained in it. So it's not only that we started it, we stayed in it, and it's because we've been able to continue to build on the things we've learned and the careers we've built and the products and the technology and our skills and the events that we've done. And so there's kind of like no end to what you can do. And there's been a lot of hard times too. But
Yep. Yeah, it's not all, the track days and whatnot are fun here and there, but it's a lot of work.
Well, and a lot of times we joke when we're dealing with, something with, I don't know, carb, or we're getting bashed by some customer online, or we just look at each other like, man, tuning is really fun, isn't it?
So fun to tune all day. Yeah,
you get to do a little bit of that, but you're running a business and you are making a living,
trying to keep everybody happy, trying to meet everybody's expectations and get product out and get the next thing coming. And
it's not a panacea, and it can be hard to make money in this industry. I've as the leader of this company, I've worked really hard over the years to make this a place where people can come and make a living and make a good one, as if they were working in a different industry, more traditional industry. But yeah, so that was that. All right.